and I met these two lovely ladies, oh my goodness, a while back when we were over at the dinosaur exhibit, which is at Armory Studios, New York. And you guys, you know so much.
I hope so.
Yeah, paleontologist here, and you're with the collections and things. So tell me a little bit about, because I got all your photos and I got them up there, so let's talk about some of those. And then we're going to talk about dinosaurs too. And are there any in New York State?
Well, there certainly were dinosaurs in New York State during the age of dinosaurs. The problem is that we have very few rock formations that are of the correct age to preserve the dinosaurs.
Oh, because so that they couldn't be compressed. And,
Right, so they have to be buried in some sort of sand or mud or something in order to become preserved. And there weren't very many low-lying areas where sand and mud could accumulate.
Right.
Except in places like Rockland County, and we do have dinosaur footprints from there. So we know they were here, we do have some evidence, but the rocks that persist to today just aren't really the right age.
Okay, well, at least we know they were here.
They were here. We know that.
Yeah.
But we don't know that much more about them.
We don't know much more about them, but why don't we, well, first of all, you're in charge of collections, right? Mm-hmm. So what do?
I preserve.
She finds the fossils.
Yes.
She hands them to you.
Yes.
And you categorize.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Richard gets a picture on the wall.
Yes. Yeah, it's fantastic. We have huge collections, and it's my job to make sure that they are around for the next generation of researchers who wants to study them. And there's constant updating of archival techniques, how to properly care for them, and to make sure that they are cataloged in a way that researchers and amateurs could use them and find out about what we have.
How would we even know what a fossil looks like? Maybe we should look at a fossil.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Can you bring one up, Raymond, and leave it up for a while? Okay, we've got two of them there, I guess.
Okay, so the one on the left is a cephalopod. A cephalopod is a squid, octopus, cuttlefish.
Squid, octopus. I know what a squid looks like, and I know what an octopus. They look like almost the same.
Do you know what a chambered nautilus looks like?
Oh,
it's
gosh,
like a squid.
I knew that. I just can't.
It's like a squid that's living in a coiled shell, like the one on the left.
Oh, a shell. Okay.
So that would have had squid arms and head sticking out the front of the shell, the one on the left right there.
So that's the one on the left.
Yep.
And these are high resolution photos because I know they're 18 megabytes. So
yes, sorry.
It's okay. But it was like, whoa, these are big, but they're high resolution. Okay.
They are. So you can zoom in really close and look at growth lines on the shell or little patterns that are on the shell.
So the first one is a cross between an octopus and a squid, but it's in a shell?
It's basically a squid in a shell, in a coiled shell. Yep.
Okay. And how did you know what to call it?
How did you know?
How do you know what to call it? I mean...
Oh, we've been studying fossils for a few hundred years now, and many of them have been named. There are always new ones that can be discovered, and we can name those. And in fact, cephalopods change so quickly through time that they can be used to date the rocks.
Would that be evolution?
Yes.
For all of you who don't understand, there is evolution.
There has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we wouldn't need new antibiotics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't have any. Can we go back again, Raymond, because we didn't talk about the second one on that same slide.
The second one is a couple of corals.
Wait,
where'd it go?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Okay.
Those are a few corals.
Whoops, wrong one. There it is. No. Is that
There
the
we
one?
go.
Yeah, that's the
right
one.
There.
Okay.
Those are a few corals.
I'm a
from
distance away, so it's hard to tell. Yeah, go ahead.
Those were part of the Onondaga Reef. It is about a 390 million year old reef that thrived in New York State. Lots of different types of corals. The cephalopods we just looked at would have swam over the reef. There would be crinoids clinging to the reef, trilobites scuttling about, all sorts of different animals living amongst the corals.
How are these different now? One, because I can't quite see the second one, but are they? Is that a cephalopod as well?
No, these are just corals,
Oh,
coral
these are the
skeletons.
coral.
Yeah.
And corals are alive.
Well, these types of corals are not. These are a different type of coral that was alive during the Devonian period through the Permian.
But what I'm saying,
Then
it
they
was
went
alive at one
oh,
time.
Yeah,
it was alive. And
yeah,
it
that's the
reproduced
skeleton
and
of it.
everything.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't know that we had coral in this area.
Oh, yeah. Big, huge reefs.
I thought they had to be warm weather.
Well, the continent was actually located much further south, and it was rotated clockwise a little bit.
And that's a
So we were actually,
Pangea? Was it Pangea?
this is actually before Pangea.
Okay.
And we were located south of the equator.
Oh, we were. Okay.
So it was like a tropical sea that was covering New York during the Devonian
All right,
period.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at another. I can't tell. That's a different one.
Okay, so on the left we have a tree stump. These are actually world famous. They're from the Gilboa fossil forest. The Gilboa fossil forest is the oldest known forest in the world. It's about
Gilboa?
Yes.
You mean like in New York State?
Yep.
Gilboa Dam and all that
Yep.
stuff?
It's about 385 million years old. And recently an older fossil forest was discovered, but that's okay because it's in New York too.
Oh, okay, good.
So
we keep
the title. So
I wonder why New York. You would think it would be like north, like Maine or something like that.
well, there was a big mountain range to the east.
Okay.
And the mountains were all of the sand and mud and everything were eroding
So
off the
it was
mountains
able
and
to-
depositing on the shores of this ocean, and that's where those trees lived.
Hey, Richard, are you learning a lot here?
Every day.
Yeah, and Richard, of course, I mentioned is with the dinosaur immersive, and we have a display up there of your photos and explanation of New York State.
Yeah, when the show came through, when we found out we were getting the show, we sat down and spoke, both Ray, the co-owner, and our general manager, Kim, and I. And what we wanted to do was localize perhaps the story of the dinosaurs a little bit. And I kind of knew there wasn't really a dinosaur fossil from New York State, but I was undeterred.
Yet.
Undeterred, right. So I contacted the New York State Museum, hoping perhaps to get a little bit of help, maybe from a paleontologist, on putting up some panels at Armory Studios, New York, to create like a STEM
Panels are
environment.
wonderful, by the way. I
Aren't
really
they?
like the panels.
So anyway, we found not just two paleontologists, but an incredible wealth
Team.
of passion.
Yeah.
And to Lisa and Sarita, these fossils are alive, and they make them alive for everybody else. So when you come to Armory Studios New York and you're in the lobby, you don't have to buy a ticket to the show. If you've seen dinos already, just come on
Come back
out.
and see it. Yeah, it was just installed recently.
Right,
yeah.
they're in the lobby, and there are 6 panels, and I wrote them down because I'll forget. Every fossil tells a story. One on the New York State Museum itself, which we're promoting and we're extremely proud of. One on bite force, that's very fun. One on Eurypteres rempes, the New York State fossil, a very sexy fossil, if I may say so
Is
myself.
it really? Do we have a picture of that sexy fossil here?
And New York State dinosaur tracks, and lastly, geologic time, history in stone.
The
And
time is amazing.
I think Lisa wants to jump in and talk about
Okay, all right.
Eurypteres
Yeah,
a little
jump
bit.
right in, Lisa.
Eurypteres remipes is the state fossil of New York. It's a sea scorpion. And I always tell people, why would you choose a state fossil that you can barely pronounce, let alone spell? And the reason,
What is the name?
Eurypteres remipes.
Okay.
There's lots of
Rolls
E's
right
and
off the
Y's
tongue.
and R's, and there aren't any vowels. But the reason why Eurypteres remipes was chosen is because, first of all, sea scorpions look cool. And secondly, because sea scorpions lived all over the world for a few million years. But they are found relatively rarely in the rocks. They don't preserve very frequently, not in many places, sometimes not in a complete fossil. Sometimes you just get an arm or part of the head. Well, in
But
New
you've
York,
got a complete one?
oh, we have millions of complete ones in
Okay,
the
good.
state because of the way the sediment was on the bottom of the ocean is very, very fine mud. So when the Eurypterids died and settled down to the seafloor and got buried, they're preserved in great detail. And there are just millions in the rocks. And you have to know where to look for them. They have to be a specific unit of rocks. But we have, all the museums in New York State have a bunch of Eurypteres fossils because we have so
That's
many.
why it's the fossil of the state.
The state fossil, exactly. It was also the first Eurypter discovered and named, was in New York.
You make me very jealous. I wish I had gone into paleontology because this is so fascinating.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and has she ever made a discovery?
Oh, well, we make discoveries a lot, but mainly Dr. Amati's research is taking trilobites that have already been discovered and finding out where they fit in the family tree.
Ah, okay. And where have you've been out digging, right?
Oh yes, and when we're
What's your
digging,
famous dig? What's your favorite dig?
My favorite one, northeastern British Columbia was a lot of fun because we were in the wilderness. More recently, we did a dig up by Louville, Watertown area, and 4 of us went and hammered on the rocks, and that's just the best thing, is hammering a rock open and finding
And then
something
you're finding
no
a
one's ever
fossil
seen.
inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean,
it's an amazing
us,
feeling.
It was just those, what is it, those little pointy things that you found, arrowheads.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah,
We found an arrowhead, it was like really great.
Fossils can be more difficult because you have to
No, I know.
know which rock unit, and then you have to hammer on it for hours sometimes before you find
Really?
anything.
Okay, so you have to split it. And you
Yeah.
got to be careful too. It's sort of like I see people doing the digs and they got these little tiny brushes working with it. You know, it's not like it's
No, I use a 2.5 pound hammer.
you do. And does it split in the right place?
If you do it right, but not always. Usually what happens is there's a zone of weakness where the fossil is, so it'll break more easily, but sometimes it breaks right across it and cuts it in half.
Oh, you don't want to do that though.
You know,
Well, that means you have 2 then.
yeah, 2 halves.
Do you take your show on the road at all? Because this is fascinating, and I think that you would stimulate a lot of interest in school kids if they knew how interesting and fascinating this is, even if you can't pronounce the names of the fossils.
One of the best things about paleontology is that kids love it. So we can kind of lure them in and give them some scientific literacy while they're not paying attention. While they're looking at the dinosaur, you're teaching them science.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is a good benefit to us. And we have school groups come in and we go to schools where we're invited. So we do as much public programming as we can. And in February at the New York State Museum, we're going to be having the Rock and Fossil Fun Fair. So we will have tons of fossils and minerals and
Who
rocks.
needs
and-
Taylor Swift, right?
No.
Oh no. We'll have all sorts of materials from the collections out to view, and there are 13 stations where kids can do activities. And again, we try to give them activities that are fun so they're not really noticing how much they're learning.
Now, where is this held?
This is held in the New York State Museum.
Museum, okay.
And it's free.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. I love the museum, but that's one of my favorite places. Richard, how is the exhibit going there? And I'd like your comments, both Lisa and Sarita, on if you went to the exhibit, what did you think of it?
Oh, the dino's alive?
We had
Yeah.
a blast.
Yeah, we did.
had a blast. They couldn't get us out of the underwater room where you can explore
I
all
know,
sorts
you
of
feel the
underwater
thing.
life,
Yeah.
and they react to you. My gosh, you had to feel me
you
out.
turn around and he's coming right at you.
Right.
It's like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, we had so much fun. And the animatronic dinosaurs aren't perfectly real, but they're real enough to use your imagination and feel like you're walking among them.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, amazing. And Richard, how long did it take to put that in? Do you know? I mean, I
It
know
took-
you didn't do it. So.
It was a complete deconstruction from the Monet show, which was kind of unexpected. And it took I think about 2.5 weeks. They do this all over the world.
It's an amazing
Yeah.
exhibit.
Dinosaurs
and-
were coming in boxes, which was hilarious, you know.
Yeah. Well, what I find interesting is that you've done the dinosaurs, and of course,
Yes.
kids think dinosaurs are great, but to partner it with the museum and bring in the fossils, because I mean that's the time. I mean, that actually, if you found a dinosaur, it'd be a fossil, I guess.
Yep.
You know, because just the bones, maybe.
But
We
when
don't even know what they look like, really. I mean,
So true.
we know what the bones look like, but we don't know what they actually look like because.
We do have skin impressions, and for feathered dinosaurs, there are little tiny molecules that are preserved in the feathers that can actually give us an idea of color.
Oh, of color.
Oh, yes. And there are skin impressions that tell us, what the texture of the skin would have been like. There's
Was
a dinosaur
it like
that's
leather-like, or was it? I mean,
Yeah,
or
and
was it
kind
more
of-
like an amphibian?
It depends on the dinosaur, but they tend to be lumpy and kind of leathery looking. And there's one dinosaur that was
Exciting.
preserved
I
as
was
a
like,
mummy.
I want to come work with you guys.
Yeah,
Please do.
so-
It's a blast.
So the longer the more time that goes on, the more impressive things are being found. You know, rarely do we find evidence to tell us what the skin looked like, but we do find it occasionally.
Okay, all right. Now, and I understand that. Where was the biggest find in the United States, I'll say, but maybe it was in Sahara Desert. I don't know. Where was the biggest find for the largest dinosaur bones?
The largest dinosaurs from South America, I believe.
South America.
Yes, and in the United States, it was Wyoming and Colorado and Montana where we found most of the dinosaur bones.
Wow. So, and they roamed the entire continent.
Yeah, they roamed
probably across the Bering Straits and into China. Who
They
knows?
were.
I don't know.
They were all over the continents. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But only some places do you have the rocks of the right age that could have accumulated in such a way to bury something that big. So usually river floods would bury a dinosaur, something like that.
Yeah, and do you have any clues as to the extinction?
Oh, we have lots of clues about the extinction. We have so many lines of evidence that there was an impact, an extraterrestrial impact at the end of the Cretaceous.
You don't think aliens came and took them?
I do not. But you know, if they did, they could bring them back, so that'd be cool.
So it was an event.
Yes.
An astrological event.
Yes, and there's still some debate as to whether they were declining before the event. We're not sure, but the event definitely happened, and there's no way that you could survive that, you know, except for a few different.
I've watched all those movies.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good if that asteroid hits. And how big does an asteroid have to be to hit? I mean, to do damage?
I don't think it needs to be that big. I don't remember
That's what I heard.
I don't remember exactly how big the Chicxulub crater was.
Yeah. And it does. I mean, where is it? Was it in Russia that is it Russia that has the big crater?
Oh, the crater's in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yucatan, okay.
Yep.
Because, I mean, amazing. We know that they did hit.
Oh, yeah.
And there could be another asteroid event.
Absolutely.
You know, that
and
we
we'll
know.
go the way of the dinosaurs.
Who knows? I mean, we think we have so much control, and I guess we don't have too much control, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Now, you have an exhibit at the museum, and where is that located?
An exhibit?
Yeah, I mean, don't you have fossils there?
We do. We
I
have
mean,
what
part of the museum would they find?
Oh, they're kind of scattered throughout.
Okay.
We don't have a dedicated exhibit
You don't
except
have
for
the
the.
cases?
We do have an Ice Ages exhibit with Ice Age animals, fossils in it. That's really cool that you should check out. And we are probably going to be creating an exhibit on Eurypterids soon, so you'll be able to see your very own Eurypterus
the
remipes.
state fossil.
And we have other sea scorpions besides Eurypterus remipes that are really cool too. So
I'd love to hear. Say that again.
Eurypterus remipes.
I love it. So yeah, and how long will that exhibit be at the dinosaur exhibit?
Probably till the end of the summer. We never know with.
You never know when they're
but-
going to decide to move it somewhere else.
And actually, the Eurypterus, you could see pictures of it online.
You say it good too.
I hang out with some cool people. So you can see the pictures online, which are terrific. But of course, we blew one up large. So when you come and see the picture in the lobby.
The picture, not the
The first thing that came to me when I saw the picture, which is very high resolution, was delicious. It looked like seafood. It's the most wonderful.
Really?
It really is so remarkably well preserved that if you made it red, you would think someone just boiled it for dinner.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's
striking.
the one in one of those plates, right?
It's
I saw that.
the illustration's probably about that
Yeah,
big. So again,
yeah.
terrific for kids, a real STEM thing. If you're home educating as well, it's a really wonderful opportunity because again, it gives a New York State angle to and reference point to all the wonderful things that you're going to see in the dinos.
Yeah, amazing. So, but don't go anywhere because I do want to tell you who's coming up, and then we're going to come back and finish this interview because I don't want to miss this. So, the Chinese Community Center will be on, the Hamilton Hill Arts Center coming up, the Northside Bethel Center coming up, Schenectady Historical Society, Schenectady School Athletic Hall of Fame. We've got Recycling Denim. We have an artist there. The Harbinger Theater will be coming on. The Italian Street Festival, Schenectady Light Opera, the Stockade Art Show. We do it all. We cram it all in.
Sounds great.
So coming up. So Lisa, how long have you been doing this?
Ooh, professionally since 2004. I was in college for about 12 years. But
You gotta get that doctorate, it takes a while.
it does take a while.
And if you're really good, they don't want
costs
you
a
to
lot.
get it right away.
But my parents used to take us fossil hunting when I was a kid too.
Okay.
So that kind of gave me the idea that this is something I might want to do when I grew up.
Yeah, that's good. And Lisa, I'm sorry, Sarita, how long have you been doing this?
Professionally in this job, I've only had it for 4 years, but I worked on my master's back in the early thousands and on human evolution and fossil footprints. It's
Perfect.
so fun. It's been the best. And then I've taken a turn into invertebrates, which is quite different from human evolution, but it's just fascinating. And I adore taking care of the collection. It's just, I've loved museums since I was a kid. I used to sleep over as a Girl Scout.
I love museums.
And it's just, I got my passion young, yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, go to the New York State Museum and check out the dinosaur exhibit. We've got so much good stuff, and I do want to end this with one thing. Be sure to read Project 2025. It's very important that you know what you're voting on. Thank you.